from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased joining me, Sergio. Sergio, thank you very much for being with me here on the show today. The way I love to do it, as we were discussing before, I like my guests to introduce themselves, to tell us a bit more about your background and your journey and what you're currently up to. So the floor is yours.
Thank you to inviting me to the show. And just a bit, as you see, my name is Sergio, and I am digital consultant and creator already more than 8 years. And I have the proof traction about $500 million funded to startups who worked with me before.
Great. Thank you for being here with me, Sergio, again. You are like into kind of a very interesting domain, which is, helping startup founder, get their pitch deck polished and, being good. So what was your motive to choose this as a, profession for you, Sergio?
I have this business mindset as I came from family, and I try to translate the great ideas to some business logic and understand from the business perspective, because all the time the founders, what I met, they some kind of more like dreamers. They wanted to create their own product, but to the investor and to the people who will finance these ideas need to use quite different approach, because they not understand, for example, if you are developer code detail or this software feature, what you bring to the your product.
Right. So, it's a very interesting domain to be in, Sergio. And, I was checking you've done a lot of that actually, and you helped a lot of founders. So more than 400 projects, and you helped them raise $560 million. It's really impressive. So I always like to start, by what are like some of the mistakes or the pitfalls that you've seen. I think especially first time founders falls into when they bring their pitch deck to you. So usually what are the common mistakes you see?
The common mistake, probably this is unrealistic expectation, and try to invest or dive deep to your project. You need to firstly understand the investor is not tech professional like you. What is why you're looking for the founders like you, but you need to show the potential and just little detail about your project to make them starving to continue discussing with you, but not to overload.
Okay, that's great. Now, some of the founders might come and say, Sergio, okay, I get what you're saying, but really my idea is very technical. It has a lot of potential, but I'm not finding the way how I can explain this into business. Maybe they are like coming from a deep technical background, or maybe, they have never done kind of a presentation for a project before. So what kind of tactics, I would say, usually you give these founders so they can truly translate, I would say, technical terms into something that investors which cares about the business, will understand?
I use some comparison model to translate your complicated idea to something what investor can be familiar. You always able to find something be familiar what you can compare your project. technical background is quite good. You should have it, but we need to find this some kind of balance between technical details and between business, because you need to show investor the money first, how they able to monetize your product and how they able to earn with your product.
Great. So a question that always comes also, Sergio, like how long or short the pitch deck should be. So from your experience again, like what are the most successful ways you've seen it?
We haven't one time recipe to it, but that should be long enough to explain details, but short enough to not make them bored. So the standard approach, what I use, it's about 12 to 15 slides. Sometimes it can be a bit more, but if you have some more details, we can move it to like appendix section and show these slides only if someone asks you about it. For example, could you show me architecture of your application? Okay, I have the slides for this, but most of the time you need to stay in this limit. 12, 15 slides would be perfect.
Wow, that's very good. And I think I see a lot of people who send. Let me ask you this because I've seen these decks which are like 30, 40 pages sometimes. So from reaching out perspective, so let's say if I want, I have prepared the pitch deck and I have maybe multiple versions of my pitch deck. So which one I should send to the investors first before I do the actual presentation to them, or should I go with one pager? What have you seen the most successful ways when dealing with the investors?
When you stand only in my approach, you enough to have this pitch deck what can read himself. It about 12 slides and with less text, because right now, according to data docsend, the typical investor spend about 3 minutes 35 seconds uh, to read one pitch deck. And if you send about 40, 50 slides pitch deck, no one will read it because it's too complicated. It's time assuming, and you need to understand it deeply. Most of the investors will to trash, or maybe I will read it later, but most of the time it never happened. So uh, about the one pager, you need to send it just after your actual presentation. So we can divide three type of pitch decks. One, it's what you send it to make it then interesting. Second one, it's for actual presentation when you on the boardroom or video call with investor. And second one is like some kind of one pager just to remind key numbers after actual meeting happen.
Okay, got it. Now, one other thing, which always, a question that keep being repeated, I would say, Sergio, how to do the balance between the design, the aesthetic side of the presentation versus the text, right? And what have you found the best balance between something which is just too much graphics and transitions in the slides and something which is also too much text? So what are like some of the best practice also that you can share with the audience?
First of all, we need to not overload slides with the text, because right now we all the scanning the text and we not read it deeply. You can just check how you, if you open any article on the internet, you just quickly scan it, not deeply and concentrated in it. So you need to try to stick only one idea to one slide. And about graphic effects, This is complicated stuff because the design is less important to the pitch deck than content. Design should support your ideas, not you. Your aim not sell the design actual your presentation. Your aim to sell your business, correct?
Right. Of course, the aim is to sell the business. Now, we see a lot, Sergio, people on LinkedIn and different places where they tell you, okay, take this template and you're gonna succeed. Like, for example, some people they say the Sequoia template. Some people they go and say the Y Combinator template. What's your take on this? What you can tell us?
I never use, from my approach, I try to never use templates because if you go to White Combinator or different big companies, yeah, they have some templates because they too used to see and they wanted to see this slide, what they seen before. But if you go to other investor, then you need to use personal approach. As I like to say, do your homework. You need to understand which type of investor you planning to present, and from their perspective choose the slides what you wanted to show to them, because angel investor looking one type of information, VC funds looking different type of information, some family offices looking third part of information, and you need to use some kind of personal approach to each of these investors.
Right, correct. Actually, this is what you thank you. You answered also my next question, which is difference between angel investors versus VCs. Now, have you seen any time where the founders needed to pitch multiple times to the same people, or like usually it's like how long usually from what you heard from them, like is it like just on the spot, or is it like they needed to do multiple follow-ups? It's just a quick question, like if you have information about that.
Mostly you pitch in one investor one time. If they interesting, we go to actual contract and detail how investor investment will happen. If sometime it's too early, but can be the investor, okay, I need this type of information. For example, you can get the answer like, yeah, your project quite interesting, but I need from you this information and this information. In that case, you can go them again, but mostly it's not some kind of pitching. It's just, okay, provide me your business plan, and then communication via email or personal. You can bring your business plan or answer some other questions. But from my approach, I try to prepare founders as much as possible. So, for example, after clients work with me, I give them answer about 300 different questions what investor can ask. So I have some kind of PDF with all details of particular business, and you can take a look and be prepared on the first meeting. So because to investor, it's a big red flag. Then he asks you some question and you don't know the answer.
Got it. Got it. Now, one of the other things, like what you can tell the founders about the importance also of storytelling, like why it's very important to try to, you know, instead of just going over the decks one by one, to try to do it in a story way, I would say.
The storytelling in pitch decks is key. You need to, for example, if you first time founder and you wanted to pitch like angel investor, they wanted to listen your background. You can haven't any MVP yet, but you have only idea. So you need to show this passion, this fire in your eye to make them quite interest to your project. If you go to Another type of investor is related to what I said before. You need to do your homework. And yeah, I'm sure the content and storytelling is most important in the pitch deck than just graphical design.
Right. One other aspect also, maybe you touched base a little bit, but so you said like each, of course, each startup is different and we don't move by template, but and you mentioned about the number of slides between 10 to 12. But I've seen also I mean, and this is regarding, I think, to the storytelling. So I've seen people, for example, they mix where to put each part. So for example, they start with the team first and then they go to the market size and then they tell us about the problem they are solving, or sometimes so on a high level, is there like a best practice also in structuring the pitch deck itself in terms like which one comes before and which one should be at the end? If you can just tell us, for example, which one should be the first one, I mean the second probably after the title, and which one usually should be at the end.
This is the type of investor. If you go to the angel, you need to show your experience. So here, the team slide at the first would be make more credibility. But mostly, you need to first two slides. It's problem and solution. So people able to open your file and okay, you have this problem and you have this solution. The next one, it can be team slides to show your experience. The next one can be market competitor or market size. Also, if you go to the VC funds, they more interested in numbers. So you need to show your potential revenue. You need to show the market size, and everything about numbers, because they have mostly many startups what they funded, and they mostly less interested in your story more than in actual finance what you can bring to them.
Okay, that's cool and interesting, I would say. So, and it's a good hint because, as you said, it's different between again and VCs, of course. During the pitch itself, right? So, have you seen like people, despite like, okay, they have the best pitch ever, maybe, of course, you help them, and but it failed. So, what could go wrong? I would say, is it like the way they presented itself? Is it because they looks like not confident enough? Like, what can go wrong even if the pitch deck is perfect?
The confidence is important, I'm sure, but what can go wrong is if you choose wrong investor. For example, if your project about medtech and you will go to investor who mostly investing in agrotech, your pitch deck, even it would be perfect, it gets failed because the investor not investing in this type of project. Different investors have some kind of sectors. Some investor invest in only the project, for example. Some of them only in medtech. Some of them in application, different types. Because especially for early stage founder, you need not only money from investor. You need something like called smart money, when investor can bring to you not only funding but they own connection, they own contacts, what can help bring your project forward. So important to find the investor who have these contacts.
Absolutely, yeah. So I like this concept of smart money because it's very important, especially because you don't need just the money, you need also someone to help you. And I think this is maybe another topic, but some of the founders, they think, yeah, just give us the money and we will figure it out. They forget about the power that this investor can help them open doors and get them to get their solution in front of the right clients. So absolutely, it's a very good point. I want to ask you, Sergio, something we didn't touch base on, which is, are you seeing, because what you do currently is something fantastic. Again, like you help, like you have 400 plus projects done, and you have, this amount that you help founders to raise. When it comes to AI and automation that's happening in this, in this domain, how do you protect your own business, Sergio? Like, is AI getting your job, easier to do, or do you see it as a threat? How do you see things here?
You need to understand that AI is not a magic pill. You can go to any AI tools and say them, okay, give me the pitch deck, and probably the AI pretty good send you something. But
Mhm.
the most mistake was what I seen the especially to market size slide. Uh, you founder go to, for example, OpenAI and okay, calculate me market size, and AI will bring some data, but this data not relevant. And what they heard from the investor, the one cash, okay, you show me the billion potential market. Where you take this data? And founder not able to answer. So, and
Right.
for investor, okay, you just imagine this number or what? And this meeting would be fail because to investors it seems like about your potential market size, and this is fail. This totally fail. So to create the pitch deck with AI, you need to bring your experience, and this is not one case solution.
Okay.
Yeah, AI can help you be more prepared. This is not a threat. This like helper,
Right.
but not the case solution. What you can just simply use instead of actual professional with experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, like AI cannot do everything for you. As you said, like right word, and I like it. It's not a magic pill, 100% on this. Now, if I want to ask you, Sergio, how are you seeing the fundraising, going? Is it becoming easier? Is it becoming harder? Like how things are moving currently?
Right now, it's becoming harder because of many startup failed and investor became more picky to each project. They after they made you made first interest, then investors take a look more closely to your project, more closely to your experience. So right now it's harder to raise some amount than, for example, 5 years ago. Especially, I heard from one VC fund, they back to the AI, they use some kind of AI filter under their email. So when you send the email to VC fund, this pitch deck go to some AI pre-check. This is relevant to them or not relevant. And if you go to not specified investor, you will haven't any answer from them.
Yeah, right. It's like similar to when you apply for a job and they have that system that checks
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah. It's quite similar to that.
yeah, they call it ATS systems, right? So it's just check for couple of keywords, right? And if they find it, and to your point, Sergio, and I think this is important because you mentioned a couple of minutes ago that the founders need to understand who they are presenting to, and usually in case of VCs, every VC they will have list of previous companies that they invested in. So this makes their life easy. Usually they would have their thesis also available on their website, means what kind of investment they do, the size check they do. So you understand, are you a good fit for them or no? And with angels, it's a little bit complicated because not all the angels they share, the previous work that they have done. So this makes it's make it a little bit tricky, I would say. Sergio, as we almost come to the end of this, very insightful episodes, like if I want to ask you kind of final words of advice to founders, especially the first time ones, when it comes to be prepared for raising and preparing their deck, what you can share with us?
You need to ask the reasonable amount, because sometimes I met the first time founders what haven't MVP yet, haven't actual working business yet. But on the last asking slide, they asked couple millions funding, but nothing yet created and nothing yet worked. You need to clearly understand how much amount you need and how you plan to spend it. Just if you allow me, I can share some funny story, but
Sure, please.
I heard last time from one investor. He said, "Okay, why you can imagine some boardroom when startup first time founder go to them to present the project, and the investor asked, why you asking the 1 million to your project?" The founder said, "It because I going to divorce with wife and I need half million give her to the house." And
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense, by the way. It's absolutely nice. I would say story because it's a reality actually. Right, 100%. Sergio, really, really, very insightful, and I am enjoying, the talking to you. If people want to get in touch, if they want to get your services or maybe get a consultation, how they can reach out to you?
the best way is contact me through my LinkedIn, as you can see on screen, or somewhere on the description would be my links. They can book the direct call with me or just message, and I try to help.
Great. Sergio, thank you very much for being with me here today. It's been some while since we didn't discuss about, the art of being prepared it's an art of pitching. This is what I call it. And of course, preparing the pitch deck and preparing the storytelling, which you talked about, and knowing the investor is critical and crucial part in the success of fundraising. So thank you for sharing, your experience with us today. And as you said, yes, the links will be in the show notes, so people can go and they can find Sergio's LinkedIn in the show notes and get in touch with him also as well. And of course, they will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And this is for the audience. This is how I usually add all my episodes. If you just discovered this podcast by luck, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did so, please give us a thumb up, share it with your friends and colleagues, and you know keep coming again. And if you are one of the people who are loyal to us and keep listening to us, thank you for doing so. Thank you for sending all your comments, feedback, and questions. I read them all. Keep them coming. And thank you for tuning in today. We will be again in a new episode very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.